Let me start with something that may feel uncomfortable to hear. Right now, somewhere in your life, someone is watching you struggle. They see your mistakes. They see your slow progress. They see your setbacks. And many of them have already made a silent decision about you. They believe you won't make it. But here is the truth I want you to understand. The same people who see you fail today may one day look at your life and say, I knew them before they became successful. And when that day comes, your story will become their inspiration. Now let me ask you something very important. Have you ever felt judged, underestimated, or silently doubted by the people around you? If you have, write "I will rise" in the comments below. Because the moment you decide to rise above doubt, your entire life begins to change. Let me tell you something I have learned after decades of studying success, achievement, and human potential. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the process of success. Every successful person you admire, every entrepreneur, every leader, every high achiever has experienced failure far more times than the average person. The difference is simple. They didn't stop. When I began my own journey, I had no special advantages. I worked ordinary jobs. I struggled financially. I faced rejection. I made mistakes that cost me time, money, and confidence. And believe me, there were people around me who quietly believed I would stay exactly where I was. But something inside me refused to accept that future. I discovered a powerful principle that changed my life forever. Your future is not determined by your current circumstances. It is determined by your decisions. The decision to keep going. The decision to improve yourself. The decision to refuse the opinions of people who cannot see your potential. You see, most people judge your future based on your present. But high achievers judge their future based on their vision. And that difference changes everything. Let me share something fascinating about human psychology. Studies in achievement psychology consistently show that persistence is one of the strongest predictors of long-term success. Not talent, not intelligence, not luck, persistence. The willingness to keep moving forward when progress feels painfully slow. And this is the stage where most people quit. This is the stage where others watch you and say things like, maybe it's not meant for them, maybe they should give up, maybe they're just not capable. But what they don't understand is that they are witnessing something extremely powerful. They are witnessing the training phase of success. Every champion goes through it. Every entrepreneur goes through it. Every person who eventually becomes an inspiration goes through a long period where nothing looks impressive. Think about that for a moment. Before the world applauds you, it usually ignores you. Before people admire your discipline, they question your decisions. Before people respect your success, they doubt your direction. This is normal. And once you understand this, something inside you becomes calm because you stop expecting immediate recognition. Instead, you focus on becoming stronger every single day. One of the most dangerous traps in life is seeking approval too early. If you require encouragement from people who don't understand your vision, you will constantly feel discouraged. Why? Because most people evaluate progress based on visible results. But the most important growth in your life happens invisibly. Your mindset is changing. Your habits are improving. Your discipline is strengthening. Your confidence is building. Even when the outside world sees nothing. I have seen this pattern repeat thousands of times in the lives of successful people. For years, sometimes decades, they are underestimated. Then suddenly, people call them overnight successes. But there is no such thing as overnight success. There are only years of unseen preparation. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine someone begins working toward a goal today. For months, they study, practice, and improve quietly. Their income may not change immediately. Their social status may not change immediately. Their recognition may not change immediately. From the outside, it may look like nothing is happening. But internally, everything is changing. Their knowledge is expanding. Their skills are sharpening. Their resilience is strengthening. And then one day, an opportunity appears. Because they are prepared, they take advantage of it. Suddenly the world sees the result. But the world did not see the preparation. And this is why I want you to remember something very important. Today's failure is often tomorrow's foundation. Every mistake you make teaches you something valuable. Every rejection strengthens your resilience. Every difficult day increases your emotional endurance. And these are the exact qualities that create extraordinary people. Let me challenge you with a question. What if the struggles you are experiencing today are actually preparing you for the life you want tomorrow? What if the failures that embarrass you today will eventually become the stories that inspire others? Because that is exactly how success stories are built. Nobody is inspired by perfection. People are inspired by transformation. They are inspired by the person who struggled, persisted, and ultimately succeeded. Your future influence will not come from pretending you never failed. It will come from showing people how you rose after failing. That is what makes a story powerful. And right now, you are writing your story. Every decision you make today becomes a chapter in that story. If you quit today, the story ends with doubt. If you continue today, the story evolves with growth. One of the most empowering realizations you can have is this: you are not defined by your worst moment. You are defined by your next decision. Right now, you can decide to grow. You can decide to learn. You can decide to improve. You can decide to become stronger than the version of yourself that existed yesterday. And when you repeat that decision daily, something remarkable begins to happen. You transform, not instantly, not dramatically, but gradually. And gradual improvement is incredibly powerful because small daily progress compounds over time. 5 pages of reading every day becomes dozens of books in a year. 1 hour of skill development every day becomes hundreds of hours of expertise. Consistent discipline eventually produces visible excellence. And when that excellence finally appears, the same people who doubted you will begin asking a new question. How did they do it? But by that time, you will know the answer. You did it one day at a time, one decision at a time, one improvement at a time. And that is exactly how inspiration is created. Not through perfection, but through persistence. Now let me ask you something deeply personal. Are you willing to endure temporary failure if it means creating a future that inspires others? Because that is the real test. The ability to keep moving forward even when recognition is absent. The ability to stay disciplined even when results are slow. The ability to believe in your future even when others doubt it. And if you can develop that mindset, your life will change in ways you cannot yet imagine. Because success is not reserved for a select few. It belongs to those who refuse to quit. And the people who see you failing today may eventually become the very people who tell your story tomorrow. But before that happens, there is something you must understand about the journey ahead. Before your life becomes an inspiration to others, it will first become a test of your character. I want you to understand this clearly, because many people begin the journey towards success with excitement, but very few continue when the road becomes uncomfortable. The early stages of growth are rarely glamorous. They are quiet. They are difficult. And often they are misunderstood by the people around you. There will be moments when you work extremely hard and still feel like you are falling behind. There will be days when the results you expected simply don't appear. And during those moments, a dangerous thought can begin to creep into your mind. Maybe they were right about me. I want you to challenge that thought immediately, because the opinions of others are not a reliable measurement of your potential. Most people evaluate your capability based on your current results, but success is not built on current results. It is built on current habits. If your habits are improving, your future is improving, whether people can see it or not. One of the most powerful discoveries I made while studying successful individuals is that they focus far more on daily discipline than on immediate outcomes. They understand something the average person does not. Results are delayed. You plant the seed today, but the tree grows later. You practice today, but mastery appears later. You sacrifice today, but the reward arrives later. This delay is exactly why most people quit too early. They want visible success before they have built invisible discipline. But high achievers reverse that order. They build discipline first. Then success becomes inevitable. Let me give you a simple but powerful truth. Your life tomorrow is largely determined by what you repeatedly do today. If today you learn, grow, improve, and push forward despite difficulty, your future will look very different from your present. But if today you allow doubt, criticism, and temporary setbacks to control your decisions, your progress will stop before it truly begins. Every day, you are casting a vote for the person you will eventually become. That is why small decisions matter so much. When you wake up and choose productivity over distraction, you are building momentum. When you continue learning while, others choose comfort, you are gaining an advantage. When you keep working while others give up, you are strengthening your future. And momentum is an extraordinary force. Success is rarely explosive in the beginning. Instead, it builds quietly. Small improvements accumulate. Skills sharpen gradually. Confidence grows through repeated action. And eventually there comes a moment when all that quiet progress becomes visible. That moment surprises everyone except the person who lived through the process. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. Many people secretly hope you fail, not because they hate you, but because your growth makes them uncomfortable. When someone close to them begins chasing bigger goals, it forces them to confront their own unrealized potential. And for many people, that is easier to avoid by doubting you. So they make comments like, "That's unrealistic. Why are you trying so hard? People like us don't achieve things like that." But those statements reveal far more about their mindset than about your potential. The truth is this: your environment can influence your thinking, but it does not have to control your future. You always have the power to choose your mindset. And the mindset you choose will determine how you interpret failure. Average performers interpret failure as a stop sign. High performers interpret failure as feedback. When something doesn't work, they ask better questions. What can I learn from this? What should I improve next time? How can I become better? This simple shift in thinking transforms every setback into a lesson. And when you accumulate enough lessons, you eventually develop wisdom. Wisdom creates confidence. Confidence produces action. And consistent action creates results. But none of this happens if you allow embarrassment to stop you. One of the greatest fears that holds people back is the fear of looking foolish. They worry about what people will think if they try and fail. They imagine criticism. They imagine judgment. So instead of risking failure, they choose safety. But safety has a hidden cost. A life without risk eventually becomes a life without growth. And a life without growth eventually becomes a life filled with regret. I have spoken to countless individuals over the years who reach the later stages of their lives. And when they reflect on their past, they rarely regret the things they tried. They regret the opportunities they avoided, the dreams they postponed, the chances they never took. That is why courage is such an essential quality for success. Courage does not mean you never feel fear. Courage means you move forward despite it. Every person who eventually becomes an inspiration to others had moments when they doubted themselves, but they continued anyway. They kept learning. They kept improving. They kept moving. And gradually, the results began to change. Now, something interesting happens when results start appearing. The same people who once questioned your efforts begin to change their tone. They become curious. They become supportive. Sometimes they even act as though they believed in you all along. This is human nature. People tend to support success once it becomes visible. But here is something important you must remember. You are not doing this for their approval. You are doing this for your growth. External validation is temporary. Personal development is permanent. The real reward of discipline is not recognition. It is transformation. The process of becoming stronger, wiser, and more capable than you once were. And once that transformation happens, your confidence no longer depends on the opinions of others. You know what you are capable of because you have built it through effort. Let me share another powerful insight. Success is not simply about achieving goals. It is about becoming the kind of person capable of achieving greater goals. The goal forces you to grow. The challenges force you to adapt. The failures force you to learn. And through that process, your character expands, your patience deepens, your resilience strengthens. Eventually, you become someone who can handle opportunities that would have overwhelmed the earlier version of yourself. This is why the struggle is not wasted. It is necessary. The person you are becoming through difficulty is preparing you for the life you want to live. And one day, someone will look at your journey and feel hope. They will see where you started. They will see the obstacles you faced. They will see how you continued when quitting would have been easier. And your story will give them permission to believe in their own potential. But that future moment depends on what you decide to do right now. Right now, when progress still feels slow. Right now, when recognition is limited. Right now, when doubt occasionally appears. This is the phase where your character is being built. And character is far more valuable than temporary success. Because character sustains success once it arrives. Without discipline, success disappears. Without humility, success becomes destructive. Without persistence, success becomes temporary. But when your character grows alongside your ambition, success becomes sustainable. So if people are watching you struggle today, don't be discouraged. You are simply in the stage of the journey that most people never see, the preparation stage. the growth stage, the transformation stage. And when this stage is complete, the next chapter of your life will begin to reveal itself. But before that chapter unfolds, there is one final mindset shift that separates ordinary lives from truly extraordinary ones. There is one final shift in thinking that separates the people who eventually become an inspiration from the people who remain stuck in the same place year after year. It is the moment when you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and you start asking, "What is this preparing me for?" That single question changes everything. Because the moment you see your struggles as preparation instead of punishment, your entire mindset becomes stronger. Every challenge becomes a classroom. Every failure becomes instruction. Every setback becomes training. And once you adopt that mindset, something remarkable begins to happen. You stop fearing difficulty. Instead, you begin to use difficulty. I have spent many years studying the lives of highly successful individuals, entrepreneurs, leaders, innovators, and top performers in many fields. And one pattern appears again and again. They do not avoid hard things. They deliberately choose them. They take on projects that stretch their abilities. They pursue goals that require growth. They accept challenges that force them to become stronger because they understand a powerful truth. Easy choices rarely lead to extraordinary lives. If you want an ordinary life, follow the path of least resistance. But if you want a life that inspires others, you must follow the path of growth. And growth almost always feels uncomfortable at first. You may feel uncertain. You may feel unprepared. You may feel like you are moving slower than everyone else. But understand this clearly. Progress is not a race against others. It is a commitment to becoming better than you were yesterday. That is the only comparison that truly matters. When you improve even slightly each day, the results compound over time in ways that are almost impossible to imagine at the beginning. 1 year of consistent effort can transform your skills. 3 years of disciplined growth can transform your career. 5 years of focused improvement can transform your entire life. But the majority of people never experience this transformation because they stop too soon. They quit during the phase where progress is still invisible. They abandon the process before momentum truly begins. And that is exactly why persistence is such a rare and powerful advantage. When you refuse to quit, time begins working in your favor. Your knowledge expands. Your experience grows. Your network improves. Your confidence strengthens. And slowly the gap between you and those who gave up becomes larger and larger. Eventually, people begin to notice. They start asking questions. They begin to say things like, "You're lucky. It must have happened quickly. You're naturally talented." But you will know the truth. It wasn't luck. It wasn't overnight. It was the accumulation of thousands of small decisions that most people never saw. The early mornings, the late nights, the books you read, the skills you practiced, the persistence you maintained when progress felt slow. All of those quiet efforts eventually created visible results. And those results create something incredibly powerful: credibility. People trust the words of someone who has lived through struggle and growth. Your story begins to matter. Your journey begins to inspire. Someone out there who is currently where you once were will look at your life and think, "If they could do it, maybe I can too." That is the moment your struggle gains purpose beyond yourself, because inspiration spreads. One person's courage can awaken courage in another. One person's persistence can encourage someone else to keep going. And suddenly, your story becomes larger than your personal success. It becomes a source of hope. But none of that happens if you give up during the difficult chapters. Every powerful story includes moments of uncertainty, moments when success seemed unlikely, moments when failure seemed possible. Those moments are what make the final outcome meaningful. Imagine reading a book where the main character never faced difficulty, no struggle, no mistakes, no obstacles. It would not inspire you. It would not teach you anything. The same principle applies to your life. The obstacles you face are not ruining your story. They are giving it depth. They are giving it strength. They are giving it meaning. And when you overcome those obstacles, your story becomes something others can learn from. Now, let me speak directly to you for a moment. If you are currently in a season of struggle, if progress feels slow, if others doubt your direction, I want you to remember something extremely important. You are still in the middle of the story, not the end. The people who see you failing today are only witnessing one chapter of your life. They have not yet seen the chapter where you rise. They have not yet seen the chapter where your efforts begin producing results. They have not yet seen the chapter where your discipline turns into mastery. And they certainly have not seen the chapter where your journey inspires others. But those chapters are written through one simple decision, repeated again and again. The decision to continue learning, continue improving, continue pushing forward even when the path feels uncertain. Because every day you refuse to quit, you move one step closer to the life you are capable of creating. And one day, someone will say something remarkable about you. They will say, I remember when people doubted them. I remember when things weren't going well. I remember when they were struggling. But they kept going, and now look at them. That is how inspiration is born. Not from perfection, but from persistence. So the next time someone sees you fail, let them. Let them underestimate you. Let them misunderstand your journey. Because their opinion does not determine your future. Your decisions do. And if you continue choosing growth, discipline, and persistence, your future will eventually speak louder than any doubt. Today, they may see you fail. But tomorrow, they may see you as the reason they believe in themselves. And when that day arrives, every difficult step you took will have been worth it. If this message resonated with you, I want you to take one simple action right now. Write "My story is not over" in the comments below. Because the moment you truly believe that you unlock the power to keep going, and the people who see you failing today may one day thank you for showing them what persistence really looks like. Your journey is still unfolding. Keep going.